I was kind of thinking that I might start trying to reach out to apartment complexes maybe for turnover cleaning. I wrote a letter today that I was going to mail to them instead of emailing, because it's more like they actually get it in their hands and have to open it. I don't know. That's what I've been thinking of doing.
Okay, well, keep us posted.
Okay.
Is that a question, or did you want feedback on it?
I don't know. Does anybody else do that? Do apartment turnovers or?
So what is a general clean first and foremost?
No, not so far. But I know from previous careers that weren't cleaning, getting into property management companies, it's really important to find that one person that can help you. For example, it's the leasing agents at apartment complexes. They do walkthroughs with every person that comes in to move in, move out, or whatever, and some sort of whether it's an offer or whether it's just literature on your business, that they can do that work for you. And you're making one stop and one relationship, and they can be a champion for your business. That's always worked better for me than trying to gain the attention of 300 individual people or renters at a property like that.
Thank you.
That's good feedback. Thank you for that, Brian. My experience is, if you're just starting out in the business, I don't recommend it at all. And the reason I don't recommend it is because I want you to have recurring ongoing business. And end of tenant cleaning, while they do have a regular cycle of people cycling through, it might be a month or 2 months before they have the next job for you. And I need you to have jobs every single week or every other week or whatever. And as we move into the new year, I'm guessing, this is just a guess, but I'm guessing that you guys are going to take 2 weeks of vacation, which is only 50 working weeks in the coming year. And I want for us to really hone in on what that means for our business in the coming year. Because if you only have 50 weeks that you can work, what does your calendar look like? And if you have 20 clients right now, and we do 4 deep cleanings next year, that's 80 deep cleanings that are not part of your regular recurring cleaning. We got to book those out right now on the calendar so that we can fit them all in. And if you're doing any special projects, let's say that you're doing 6 special projects per client, and that might be a little bit aggressive. Maybe for some clients, you have 12 special packages. I know with our large appliance package, which is our oven cleaning, refrigerator, garbage disposal, dishwasher, and deep freeze, we usually do that twice a year. That's one package we sell twice to the same customer in 1 year. But if you have one customer, and I'm just saying, if every customer has 6 packages, even if it's a duplicate package, that's a duplicate package you sell twice a year. If you sell 6 packages, special packages to every customer that you have, and I'm just guessing 20 customers, there's 120 appointments that you have that are not part of your regular maintenance cleaning. And so instead of going after apartment complexes where you're like, I hope you have a job for me, I really don't want you to focus on that right now. If you have lots of people in your business and you have, somebody you can dedicate to that, I would say, yeah, go for it. But if you are the cleaner and you're dealing with 1 or 2 or 3 other people, I say, keep your business really small. And right now, get really serious about your scheduling, because you only have 168 hours in a week, right? And of that, if 40 hours is dedicated to cleaning, and that's really aggressive if you're cleaning 8 hours a day, you still can't cram in all the deep cleanings and all the special projects and all of the regular maintenance clean. And, right now we're talking, if you book everything out right now in advance, we're talking about hiring some people just to maintain what you have right now. Mm-hmm. And so my suggestion is just really keep it close to home, keep it small, as long as you are, a small business. And when you're ready to start expanding, say, okay, I've got 80 slots. I'm going to hire somebody just to do the deep cleaning. I'm going to hire somebody just to do the special projects. Then you start bringing them in on the regular maintenance cleaning, and you can spin them out, hire somebody new to do the deep cleaning and the special projects. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I think you'll be able to calculate on a much more regular scale and on an easier level. It's going to be way easier to get a homeowner to sign up with you than, like Brian said, it is a property manager. Because once you have that contract, yeah, that's good, but is that a commercial contract? Mm-hmm. And if it's a commercial contract, the rules of the game change a little bit. Property managers often want to deal in terms which are 30, 60, 90 days. And so
Yeah.
it's not like you go to a customer's house, you work today, you get paid today, which we love, right? In house cleaning.
Yeah.
I need you to get paid today. And so I really want you to focus on getting paid today. That's my
Okay.
priority for you. But I
Thank
love your idea and I love your creativity. And so in my business, what we do is we say, this is an awesome idea. It doesn't work for us right exactly now, but let's keep it in our active idea file. And then the day will come and we'll say, you know what, this is the perfect time for us to go after that next segment. And then you segue into that.
Maybe when I have employees and I need to really get more money coming in, right?
Well, when
Kinda
you
like
start hiring
down the road.
employees, you can hire employees part-time. And you can say, I've got 80 deep cleanings coming up right now for this coming year, for 2022. And so I want to hire somebody just to do the deep cleanings. That's a part-time person. That's not a full-time job. That's somebody that you could hire that only works 1 or 2 days a week. And so as you
Yeah.
bill that out, they might only work every Friday, and you book all, 2 houses every Friday for the next year. And that's somebody you only hire for 1 day. That's somebody else, who has another job. So
Yeah. Thank you.
start thinking in terms of what are the projects that you have and how are you going to fulfill those? Because selling special projects is a really, really big upsell and a way to get more business coming in. But then how are you going to fulfill that? Because if you're busy right now doing all the maintenance cleaning, you don't actually have time for special projects. And you can't just wing it. You can't just throw in an extra 3-hour project on top of a regular maintenance clean and hope to still be able to get to the next customer's house in time, right? It doesn't happen that way.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. Any other questions while we're on that same topic?
Yeah, I have kind of a spin-off question of that. So my original understanding of Stephanie's question was that she was targeting the residents, not necessarily the end of tenancy cleanings. So that's something that we've had a lot of inquiries about. So our specific area here within the same zip code, we have a lot of high density housing, but it's higher end high density housing. We're not in Miami, I'm in Southern California. It's not, $1 million condos, but these are $3,000 a month, $3,500 a month condos and apartments, even some of the larger apartment complexes. I've shied away from that and haven't really pursued those types of clients because they're shorter term. You're not they may be there for a year, or they're not the homeowner, so that's maybe a shorter sales cycle with them or relationship cycle. But we're also a newer business, so we're looking to get as many reviews and repetition even just to get better at what we do. Would you still recommend, if our niche is going to be, and we're looking for the single family homes, which we have a ton of those as well, would you recommend just focusing on that, like that's it, or would you take on some of these other within certain parameters of high density housing?
Yes, that's a great question. High density housing, yes, because what you can do is you can book all of your business in one apartment complex. And it's awesome because if you have an expensive series of apartments where they're 3,000-4,000 square feet, these are people that, and this is really great for people that live like in a downtown area where they're paying really high dollar. Those are business professionals that work downtown. They don't have time to clean their own homes, and everyone in the apartment needs it. So you log in and you get a parking pass. Either you buy a parking pass for that condo or that uptown area. And it's often you can get like uptown parking or something that's reduced rate if you pay for the whole entire month up front. And if all of your jobs are there, it's perfect. So it's part of your package and you build the parking into that. But what I was going to say is you can literally go in and do 2 houses one day, 2 houses the next day, 2 houses the next day, and you stay in the same building. You can hire a person to just work that apartment complex. And it's really awesome because if somebody likes you in the building, they often will tell all their friends, or they're part of the apartment complex. It's not a homeowners association, but it's something similar where everybody's connected either by a Facebook group or a chat of some sort. And then you can jump in and you can say, hey, would you mind giving me a recommendation? We've done a lot of apartments where, especially like in New York City, where apartments are really close together, and you can, if not this apartment complex, you go to the one across the street or the one that's one building over. There's no commute time, which is awesome. And you kind of know this is about how long it's going to take because the apartments are similar in size, right? They can't be sprawling like different size homes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The only real big parameter is how are the lifestyles different? Is this a business professional where they've got like a dog and they live alone, or is it like two people and they have a dog? I mean, the lifestyles are not that different. When you get to the bigger family homes, that's where you get all the variety. Is it single people? Is it, a variety of families? Is it elder parents moving in? A lot of times the uptown apartments are small dwellings and you got professionals that live there. It's easy to manage.
Okay.
You will have some variety, but it's like I say, the apartments are all about the same size. So
Yeah, and that didn't even cross my mind, is that literally walking into the same space time after time if you get that kind of work. So that's even better for for our cleaners to, it's like a plan within a plan, using our broader plan, but just even narrower for that specific complex. So that's really good feedback. Thank you.
you've seen the concept of the yard signs, where when you're cleaning out someone's garage, you put a yard sign out and you say it's not a garage sale, it's actually we're cleaning the garage, which is kind of like advertising as people drive by, but they're like, oh, someone cleans a garage. It's the same concept when you do apartment cleaning, because what you can do is you can put out a little sign, like one of those little yellow signs that you would see like in a commercial building, like be careful, wet floor or whatever. You can say cleaning in progress. And you can just create your own sign that goes right over the top of that yellow holder and put it right out in front of the door, cleaning in progress. People walk up and down the hall, they're like, oh, they got a house cleaner here. Who's the house cleaner? And I love to always put like a little packet of cards. They've got those little stick-on packets of cards. I love to put like a sticker thing. You can't advertise in there, but you can while you're cleaning. And so you just put your little sticker envelope there of cards, and people can take a card as they go. We picked up a lot of business that way. Also, when you're on the elevator going up and down the building, people will see you with your cleaning supplies and like, oh, you clean? You pick up a lot of business. You have to carry cards on your person with you and say, oh yeah, here's my card just in case. Pass the word along, yeah. But we picked up a lot of business, just referral and people seeing us cleaning, or they see you getting out of your car, coming in with a vacuum or a cleaning caddy. Oh, you clean the apartment? We're like, yeah, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday. So.
Very cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I totally recommend the apartments if you can, not for move out cleanings. I wouldn't target it just for move out cleanings, but for regular recurring business. It's an awesome way to pick up business.
I think that's.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change it around and target the tenants. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, cool. That will get you regular recurring money coming in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brian, go ahead.
No, I like the, so we're a suburb. So we don't have the big tall apartment buildings, but we have big like sprawling complexes. So it's the same concept, just a little bit different mechanics in it, almost a better opportunity to advertise within while we're working in there. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I went from leery to excited about it. I was seeing all these leads coming in from like the Yelp local. So I had some Yelp advertising money that they gave me and was kind of playing around with that in there. And there's a lot of 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 bedroom, 1 bath that are wanting recurring cleans, under 1,000 square feet. And we're just going to charge the minimum, just going to, charge we're going to have a minimum trip charge and, 120 bucks or whatever it is. Cause a lot of those, if they're kept up, are 800 square feet. You can almost stand in one place and clean that whole space. So, yeah, thank you. I went from being leery about it to being excited about it. Thank you.
I'll share a secret with you on how to get the business for the high-end apartment complexes like that. As soon as you see a high-end apartment complex, what you have to realize is there are a lot of people who have pets. And so with pets means there's a dog park around here somewhere. And so my suggestion is that you go hang out at the dog park, take your yoga mat, and go down to the dog park and start stretching. And when people come out to walk their dog, start a conversation. And you're like, hey, wow, what a cute little dog. And then they just assume you live there. They didn't ask, right? People don't come to the dog park if they don't live around there, right? And so if they ask you, do you live around here? You say, no, I'm the house cleaner that lives here. I'm just stretching between jobs or something like that. But it's a great way to start conversations. Which of these apartments do you live in? And you let them know, I am the house cleaner that services this complex. And then they're like, oh, And I say, if you or anyone you know, please keep me in mind. I'll give you a card because you never know. And I just give them a card. And I like to just give them a card because you never know. And I always say that because you never know. And they'll take your card. They may not need house cleaning, but maybe they do. But next time they're out at the dog park, oh, there's the house cleaning lady again. And then they're going to go, hey, have you cleaned any houses? And they start a conversation with you. Okay. So the cool part is you start building relationships. And when they have other friends who are in the dog park, because all the dog park people know each other, right? They all have dogs, they all have pets, they all have conversations. So what happens is, oh yeah, there's the house cleaning lady again. And they'll start billing you as, don't be offended by the term. It's a job, right? It's a job. It's a role that you're playing. But what happens is you get known by all the people there. I would say we all need to exercise, right? We all need to be visible. And so I would go down there for, I don't know, 15 minutes every day when you get off your shift. Just go down and hang out at the dog park. Like, oh yeah, I just got done cleaning a house here. I think I'll just kind of work out those kinks, make some friends while you're at it, pass some business cards out. It's marketing, and it's a great place to pick up business for an apartment complex. So frequent the dog parks. If you have a dog of your own, yay, you know.
My dog's old. He's like 15 years old, so he doesn't dog park it anymore. But I'll get a stuffed dog or something and fake it.
Sunday mornings are a great time to pick up business as well. If you're down there for coffee, Sunday mornings, everybody hangs out at the dog park on Sunday mornings. Just thought I'd throw that out. All right, Susanna, you got a question. How are you today?
We're good. Good morning.
Hi there.
Hello. It's me and Laura again.
Hi there.
We're
Welcome to
having,
both of you.
Thank you. We're on the break between the houses.
Yes. So we have a question regarding to subcontracting, because our business is really picking up, and then right now we have like just 2 of us cleaning, and we try to hire subcontract based on our previous conversation. And how we realize if we subcontract someone has no cleaning experience, and we clean with them, it takes us much more effort because we will be the person doing more job, but we still pay. And if we try to subcontracting other cleaning company, and they treat us like a competition, so they are not really interested in working with us because they have question. Oh, so are we working under you? So we have this kind of.
Usually when we bring subcontracting words in a conversation with them, it's already a no-no for them.
Yeah. So we're wondering, is any like template? How do we approach subcontractor or approaching solo cleaner?
Wrong. Maybe it's on our end why they don't want to work with us.
Let me ask you this question. Are you familiar with the concept of babysitting?
No.
Okay, here's how babysitting works. If you're a mom, you have a child, and sometimes you're going to go somewhere and you need someone to come babysit for your kid. So you say, hey, is there someone out there that can babysit my kid while I go to a party, or I go to an event, or I go to the doctor, or whatever. So think of it as hiring a babysitter who is also a mom. Check it out. I know this is a huge concept. But what happens is the mom's not going to steal your kid. She has a kid of her own, right? It's the same concept with business. They're not going to steal your business. They have a business of your own. But you're going to bring in somebody who already has experience babysitting or cleaning in this example. They already have experience, but they just happen to also have whatever it is you need, right? So if you're a mom and you're hiring a babysitter who has kids of her own, it's the same concept. So for cleaning, instead of calling it subcontracting and, you know, they're our competition and whatever, I want to change the word from competition. There's no competition in our business. It's collaboration. I'm going to bring somebody in and we're going to collaborate. And here's where it gets really exciting. Check it out. You're going to be giving them a job they don't have right now. You're giving them more money than they didn't have any job right now. If they did, they would be booked, they would be busy, they would say no to you, right? So we're not going to hire people who have no experience. We're going to hire people who are busy, but maybe, check it out, maybe they've hired somebody new and they don't have enough work for that person. So we're going to say, listen, do you or anyone in your company, you're just hiring somebody new, you don't have a full-time schedule for them. Would you like to give them a little bit of our work? We will give you a percentage of, like, we'll take a percentage of it as a finder's fee. And they go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So they're going to have, let's say we just talked about at the top of the show here, we just talked about, we have 80 If you've got 20 clients, we have 80 deep cleanings that are coming up on 2022. I want to outsource 80 jobs to you over 2022. Is that something you think your company can handle? Well, they're not going to steal the business from you. You're giving them 80 jobs. And so they're going to say, yeah, let's work out an agreement together where we're working together. And so every agreement that you have, and I always ask my employees when they come to work with me at first, are you looking to go start your own business one day? And if they say, yes, I am, I don't want to put them in my regular employee program. I want to put them in my fast track program so they can learn our business as an employee, and I can spin them out on their own as an independent contractor. By the way, I have 80 jobs for you for next year, and I say next year because we're at the end of 2021. I have 80 jobs I want to bring to you. The agreement is that you don't steal my other business, but that you work with me so I can just keep funneling these jobs to you. There's no guarantee that they will get the work. It's just that you're giving them first right of refusal. So we want to create partnerships. We want to create collaborations. We want to create working agreements. And so the beauty of it is when you have somebody that wants to work on your team, they show up looking like your team. They show up with your company culture. They show up with the same enthusiasm that you treat your regular customers with the same kind of quality customer service. And so it's not, there are people that will think of it as a competition. You don't want those people. There are people that will try to backstab you and they will try to compete with you and they're trying to sneak around you and do weird stuff. Those are not business partners. Those are thieves.
That's how we felt, because on our end it was a very fair and clear how we want to proceed with them, so it was nothing hidden on our side, but they just they didn't want to collaborate, and especially when they heard the word the subcontracting.
So I think the key is communication, number one, and the second is contracts. Everything that we do is in contract and it's in written form. Here's the expectation. Here's the consequence if either party doesn't live up to the expectation. And if you are all in agreement and you have signed whatever the agreement is that you've put together, then both of you know what the rules are that you're playing by. Where it gets really weird and it starts falling apart is if those contracts are in your head and they're not on paper. Because later on, as the relationship progresses, both of you will forget the terms that you talked about. And people will start making stuff up. And then it gets weird as you hire other people. Oh yeah, we have a contractor over here, but did you explain in your head to your employee what's happening over here? Do they know what the rules are? Is it a set in stone set of rules and regulations for working with contractors? And if you don't have those rules and regulations in place, then what happens is everybody starts making up their own rules. Or if somebody in their company changes and they replace an employee with a new employee, does that person know the rules and regulations? If there's nothing in writing, there's nothing for them to read. There's nothing for them to brush up on as far as what your agreements are. And so like at Savvy Cleaner, if we have a contractor, everything that we have is on paper. This is what this job entails. This is the work order. These are the supplies that we use. We're not giving them the supplies, but this is what we use for our regular job order. This is what is required. If you take this job, this is what we expect. And so they say, okay, we understand we have, we use degreasers, we use cleaning supplies, we use cloths, we believe in non-cross contamination, right? They have to agree to whatever it is that your rules and regulations are when they take the job. After they take the job and they're on their own, you don't give them any directives as far as how the job should be done, when the job should be done. You're not instructing them, you're not teaching them, you're not doing any of those things. But they took a project from you with a certain set of parameters. Then when they turn the project in, you contact your customer. If the customer's happy with that, you got paid for it, then you pay them the money. That's, the system goes on and on and on and on that way. Where it really falls apart is if none of that is in place. And so we've had independent contractors over the years that will miss some steps. We got to go back and say, wait a second, this was our original agreement. Some steps were missed. We need to get back on track to do this. If they can't get back on track, we don't use those contractors anymore. And with contractors, we're not obligated to give them any work at all. And so if we have a contractor that goes south or we don't like working with them, we just, let's kind of cross them off our go-to list.
So how do you find those contractors? do you find them like you mentioned like a more, maybe like those people are more in like a cleaning company that they have employees, or do you think like it will be easier for us to find someone who is just solo cleaner but who are willing to become an independent contractor?
You can do it both ways. One of the ways that works really well for me is I first ask my team. I ask the employees on my team, do you or somebody that you know, because if they're thinking of starting their own business, oftentimes they'll say, well, I want to go out on my own and I want to start my own business. So I always ask the people in my team first. I ask them, do you have any relatives that have thought about getting involved in the business that are willing to work 1 day a week? And I only want to start them out at 1 day a week. If it's an independent contractor, I want to find out, are they good at what they do? If it's another cleaning company already, I just say, hey, do you have anyone that you've hired where you don't have a full schedule for them yet and you want to pick up some extra work? And I approach it, I approach it as we're billing, you know, we're doing the work for you. This is advertising you don't have to pay for. We have regular jobs coming in. Do you have openings? I know there are a lot of startup cleaning businesses that don't have full schedules yet. And they might be solo operators. I'm not training them. You know, I'm not teaching them how to clean. They already have their own business, but they may not be full yet. And so they'll say,
how do we find those? How do, other than relatives, how do we find them? We saw care.com, but like some of them have their company logo magnet on their cars, so we cannot really using people like having their own logo to go to our customer's house.
So on savvycleaner.com in the resource section, I forget if it's called jobs and recruiting. There's a jobs and recruiting page, and this is really cool. Check this out. There are companies that are hiring house cleaners. So if they're hiring house cleaners, they have jobs coming in. They probably don't have a full schedule for the new person they're about to hire. So I like to reach out to those companies who have an ad on those pages. And I say, and their phone number is there. They've got their web address. They've got everything, and they're in your area. You just search by your area. And then you call them up and you say, hey, Renee, I saw that you were advertising. You're getting ready to hire some new people. Do you have a full schedule for those people already? Or would you be open to doing some independent contractor work for our company? Because we also are in the same situation where we're expanding, but we don't have quite enough work for a full-time person. Do you have any openings at all of people that you would want to work with us? And she might say, well, what did you have in mind? Well, I've got 80 deep cleans that we have to do this coming year. And all of a sudden she's like, whoa, I'm a small business owner. I'm getting ready to hire somebody. You have 80 jobs that you could filter into our business this year. Let's at least grab a cup of coffee and have a conversation, because we might be able to work something out, right? Nice. So if you're reaching out to other people that are hiring right now, well, what you know is they're hiring. They're a cleaning company, so they're progressive. If they're hiring people, they probably have a training program where they're going to be training those people. It's a good place to go. And it's not you running ads or anything. Don't spend any money on this program. There are a lot of people out there. Yeah, there are a lot of people out there looking for extra work.
That's great information. And another thing about the percentage. So we pay like 60-40%, but do we tell them this is how much, like you got 40%, or you got 60% of the price? So we don't tell them the final price that we charging the customer, right?
Or do we?
You can. I know that there are a lot of house cleaners that are like, I don't want anyone to know. Well, I don't know why you don't want anyone to know. It's okay to be transparent, especially if there are partners with you and they're helping you earn money, right? And so this is what we charge the customer. Here's where the other 40% goes. It goes to the advertising, it goes to the marketing, it goes to everything that you do to promote your business, to get the jobs that you're giving them. If they were running the business themselves and they were doing all that extra work, they'd be making 100% of the money. But check it out, their schedule is not full. They do not have all the business they need. Therefore, they would be open to taking 60% of a job in exchange for, hey, I didn't have to do all that work myself. I don't want to scare any of you that are business owners, but let me throw this out just as a concept. If someone were to come in and do all of their marketing, all of your marketing, all of the admin, all of the everything it is you need to run your business, and they were just going to give jobs to you, would you pay them 40% of your income? The answer is yeah, all day, every day. It's really, really hard to run a business. And I don't want to discourage those of you that are business owners. That's a really, really fair price.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
And sorry, I have so many questions. So
No,
do
please
we need
ask,
to give-
because this is great.
do we need to give them a whole day schedule? Because I feel like if we just providing, like you said, 80 jobs the next year, but in reality, maybe we can only give them 1 job on Wednesday, 2 job on Friday, and then it will be next week. So it's not consistent providing them job because we just started like a couple months ago. So would that discourage them that, oh, they just, it's not consistent. You cannot get a stable income from us.
That's a great question. Does anyone want to answer that question before I jump in? Brian, you
Well, it's
look
kind
like
of
you
why
have
you're
something.
not making them an employee, right?
Yeah, they're not an employee, they're an independent contractor.
So that's kind of the luxury of having an independent contractor, is that you're not having to promise them 5 days a week, you know, it's not committing to that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a partnership, and you want to be doing your job to, especially if you're gonna long-term partner with a company like that or a contractor, you need to hold up your end of the bargain and generate that business and build that consistency. But if you're clear in the beginning and say, hey, we're just starting out, we have XYZ planned, this is how we're gonna execute it. We want you guys to be there to catch this as we build this and as it builds steam. If they're the right partner for you, they're going to be on board with that, and they can plan their business needs accordingly as well. But to me, that would only work with really good communication and really good that transparency that you were talking about with pricing and all that. You're going to need to have that kind of relationship level with them to make that work. But I mean, that the right partner is going to be willing to take on 1 job a week, 2 jobs a week, build that, and then with the expectation of, hey, we're gonna grow it to this in the future here.
If you have 4 clients right now and you're doing 4 deep cleanings per year, that is 16 deep cleanings that you have during 2022. And so what's really worked well for us, and I love what Brian said about clear communication, and that's the key. And if you can plan out in advance, they can also plan out in advance. So what I recommend, and this is free to do, it doesn't cost anything to have a Google Calendar. Google is available to everyone for free, but I would set up a Google Calendar. And if you have an independent contractor that is thinking about joining you, I would add them, I would share the calendar with them. Here's how it works in our company. These are the 16 jobs that we are booking out for the 4 clients that we have. And again, if you have 20 clients, that's 80 jobs that you're going to be booking out on the calendar. And if you can book them out on the calendar in advance, that's going to help your customers because they know when the deep cleanings are coming up. It's going to help you because you know when your deep cleanings are coming up. It's going to help your independent contractors because they know when your deep cleanings are coming up. Okay. What you can do is you can say, are there any of these slots that you want to take? And the person that you're sharing the calendar with, they can grab that slot. So they might turn it a different color and say, I grab that slot. I'm claiming that slot. I will work that slot. And if they see the whole calendar a year in advance, they might say, I want to book out all my Fridays so that I will do that deep cleaning for your company every single Friday. Now, one of the things that we do that's worked really well is I say, add in your color, because they all have their own different color, add in your color the days you are available. And so it says available on their time slot, their name, their phone number. Okay, I can look at my calendar and I can say, oh, looky here. I can do a deep cleaning here. I can do a special project here. I can add a project here. And if somebody cancels, I can look at my calendar and I can say, look, Kristen is available on Friday. Oh, that's awesome. Well, the Google Calendar is on your phone as well. So if I'm at Mrs. Peterson's house, Mrs. Peterson has a cancellation. She's not getting her money back, but I can look at my calendar real quick and go, oh, look, Kristen's available tomorrow. How about that? Well, Mrs. Peterson, can we fit you in tomorrow? It's not my regular team. We don't have another slot available, but I can send Kristen over because Kristen's an independent contractor. And I know that Kristen can pick up that slot. Now, Mrs. Peterson has already paid us. We're not going to give her a refund, but I'm going to send Kristen over. I make 40% of what we've already made. I get to keep the money. We're not going to give it back. Kristen cleans the house. Kristen wins. Mrs. Peterson wins. We win. Boom. We're done. Right? So anytime you can work it out, and I love the Google Calendar for the fact that people can put up their availability. I'm not promising them any work. I can't guarantee them any work. They're an independent contractor. They do not work for my company. If they're an employee of my company, which would be awesome, I have to guarantee them work, and I got to pay them for even if there is no work, which makes it awesome if I have an agreement with you and I have a person on my team that is an employee and I don't have work for them because we had a cancellation. I can look at your calendar and I can say, oh my goodness, Susanna has an opening. I got somebody today with no job. Susanna, how about if I send over my employee to your, we had a cancellation. I'd love to fill that slot, right? I'd rather make 40% of whatever it is, or 60% of a job. Do you see how this works? You start working back and forth with other people that are close to you, and you want to work with people that are in your area, because if they have a cancellation or you have a cancellation, you guys can fill each other's slots with available help. So the rule is this, though. The rule is this: if you say you're available, and if I have a job for you, and you keep turning me down, I'm just going to remove you from the calendar. That doesn't work for me.
Gotcha.
You do have the right of refusal. You can say no, but if you do it like, you know, multiple times or whatever, then don't put yourself on my calendar, because if I book jobs and then you're not available, you know, I look bad.
Do you think that the goal though is really to try to have employees, or try to keep it to just independent contractors?
Oh,
Or
I
is
love
that a
that
personal
question.
No,
Renee looks like she wants to answer that one. Renee, what's your take on that?
Oh, hi. I don't know, really. I guess it just depends. Like right now, I do have 2 independent contractors that do the apartment cleaning for me, like you guys were talking about earlier. I actually started cleaning by doing that. I have 5 property communities. They're all a big company, but they're 5 different in the same area, but they're owned by the same company. So I'm already pre-approved and everything for them. So anytime I need to clean any units anywhere, I'm already got my prices. They know what my upcharge or everything. So I have 5 of them. And in the summer, I do college turns for them because one's right by Kent State, which is a big thing. So I'll do like 300 apartment units in like a month and a half. So that's a lot. So I do have 4 independent contractors I hired this year. And it's like my mother-in-law and like her brother. They were family members that needed, you know, just job. And they knew it's this many days. They give me their schedule ahead of time. So for that, it works for me on like the property management end. And like I do have a commercial account. I have, you know, somebody doing that. But for my regular residential cleaning, it's just me right now. So I feel that in my residential, I would like to hire an employee to help me. So I always have them. I know they're always there. They, you know, but that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So I don't know if that really helps answer your question, but for me, the independent contractor works really well for, you know, the property management, but I would like to have employees for residential, but whatever Angela suggests, because she always has the best advice.
Well, I've been doing this for 30 years and I've tried it pretty much every which way. And I've worked with hundreds of companies who have tried it every which way. It comes down to really your personal preference. And it comes down to what are your goals and how big do you want to scale? The house cleaning business is one that lets you scale up or down depending on what's going on in your life. There are times that you will have employees and you'll have cars and you'll be all over town and you'll have a huge business. And then there are times that you might, I don't know, you might relocate or go to a new area and you decide I'm going to keep it small this time. Or there may be things going on in your personal life, like a bratty teenager that you're trying to raise that consumes all of your waking hours. And you're like, I just don't have this to give right now with my employees. So you'll scale back so that you can manage your family as well as your business. And so there are times that things are going to happen in your life that with no fault of your own. An elder parent might move in with you and it requires gobs of your time. And you say, you know, I'm going to outsource it all to independent contractors. I don't have it to give with motivating the employees every day and double checking their work and making sure they showed up with their clothes, you know, not terribly wrinkled or whatever your parameters are. And you'll just say, this is too much for me right now. And so you will scale back. There are times I've only had independent contractors, and there are times I've only had employees, and there are times I've had a really good mix of both. And so it just really depends on what's going on in your world, and it depends on what's available. during COVID, the whole entire workforce dumped itself on its head. And so
Yeah.
you kind of be happy to get whatever you wanted. And during COVID, I changed my own personal policy. I gave people a choice. Do you want to be an independent contractor? Do you want to be an employee? You want to be an employee? Great. Let's set you up. And here's the forms to fill out. On the exact same interview where I had people sitting in the room that had come to apply for the exact same job, I hired them as an independent contractor. What fits into your life? And I ask people, because some people are motivated by, oh, I need my taxes taken out. I want to, create a pension for myself. I want to, I want to be an employee. And there are other people that are like, no, I want to be an independent contractor. Okay, great. Let's make that work.
It did work out for me, like with the independent contractor, because I haven't been on here lately, even though I've been with Savvy Cleaner. My dad passed away unexpectedly.
No, I'm so
And
sorry.
thank you. And so I did have some of my independent contractor, the people who do, so they knew the basics of cleaning. And like you talk about, they knew my mottos, what I use, and everything that you trained them, that they were actually able to go clean 2 houses for me that like were having something, like one lady was having a party. So it would have been terrible for me to reschedule, but she would have understood. I said, I explained to her what happened, and I do have 2 trained employees, and I trained them, and they're independent, and they did. They don't always do the house, but they did the apartments, but they knew the basics, and they knew what we used and like our standards. So I could call them, and they did. They covered for me, like for a couple of them that I had that I couldn't reschedule. So for that worked really, really good for me on the independent contractor. They kind of just knew what to expect from our company. Like you teach us, like, the morals and, what we do and don't do and what products and everything. So that worked out good for me, just to be able to have someone go clean for me.
Thank you for sharing that. And is there anything we can do to help you through the situation with your dad?
No, it happened last week unexpectedly. And my dad's a pastor of a church. He was a pastor of a church. So, you have the whole church situation, you got it. And my mom, I help my mom and stuff. But my dad was my biggest fan. So he would, he was so proud of everything that, we were doing. So, but thank you so much. I mean, this cleaning keeps me busy. I find my cleaning business like a comfort. Almost, it's kept me busy, kept me going. I find a little bit of satisfaction in that. So, but yeah,
how's your mom holding out?
Okay. She's got the burden, I wouldn't say a burden, but she has the worry of the church there. So they had a meeting of the church still wants to keep going. It's a small church. It's, it's probably like 100 people, if that. But my dad was an evangelist for years. So he's been everywhere, but he also started his own church the last several years. But, your day-to-day life, Inc. is what's heartbreaking. And they were married for 47 years. And my dad has always pulled through. He was a little bit sick. You would never know it because he didn't complain. But we were there and he just didn't pull through this time. So it took everybody by shock. So it was just, but, she says my dad doesn't have to worry about anything anymore. We do. So that's the comfort of it. But I always think my dad was my biggest fan. So,
well, I hope the memories of him still inspire you. That's really a wonderful tribute to your dad. And if there's anything that we can do on our end, please let us know. We're going to keep you and your family in our prayers, because it's hard to lose a parent. That's just tough.
You always think about it like, one day everybody knows their parents are going to pass or somebody, but until it happens, you're just like, wow. So, but yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm ready to get back into it. But like I said, it was nice to have those independent contractors that I had trained already. They just came right in there and cleaned for me. And if there was any issues, everybody, it's obviously a little bit different on a house than an apartment, but it's got the basic concept, and the clients were really good about working with me. So that helped my business. If I didn't have that, it would have been a little bit hard to do everything, but it definitely was a blessing to have them. So like you said, Sometimes you have them, sometimes you don't. I was thankful I did then.
Well, and I like to create those kind of relationships up front because you never know when something's going to happen. I mean, you might have a very reliable team that you're building, and then all of a sudden one of their kids does something crazy. So the reliable person or employee on your team suddenly is ineffective, or they got to like bounce out in the middle of a day because there was an emergency at school or something. And it's great to be able to look at a calendar and say, oh, so-and-so put themselves on the schedule and said they're available for tomorrow. If I have to cancel today's appointment because somebody didn't show up today or something malfunctioned, can I book this independent contractor in place? And where it gets really great is where you guys have worked together in the past. And you have to have some kind of a meeting up front to say, this is our company culture, this is how we operate, this is what we do. Are you guys in agreement? Can we make some agreements before we start working together? Because we expect this is going to be an ongoing long-term relationship. And what's really cool, and I said, ask your employees first and ask your family and friends, ask your clients. If you have any clients at all, I always ask my clients, hey, we're expanding a little bit. We're looking for a couple of independent contractors that would be willing to work 1 or 2 days a week. Do you know anybody, or you or anybody you know looking for a part-time job? And I love to ask them because we've hired a lot of our clients. There are people that will say, well, I already know, I already know how you clean. I know how you dress. I know what you expect. I know how you treat your customers. I know what you charge. I know how you pay. I mean, they already know everything because they're a customer first, right? Well, I would like to work 1 day a week. Sure, I could do that. We've had several people that have worked for us that were already at one point, they were our customers. The risk is they usually stop hiring you as a cleaning company once they become your independent contractor, because then they'll clean their own house. But the glory of that is there's not a lot of training other than technique and tips. You know, that's something that they can pick up on their own, but they just come in and they clean 1 or 2 days a week for you. There are a lot of moms and dads that right now, because of the COVID situation, they're not working their regular jobs or they're working from home. And if they can work from home, their regular job that has benefits, and they can do that on their own time, and it's not time sensitive, like you got to be here from 8 to 5 in the morning. Oftentimes they'll pick up a 2 or 3 day cleaning job, and they'll do their other business in the evening where they can keep their benefits, still turn in their work on time, but just pick up an extra job. So I've been asking everybody, hey, who do you know? And what's really weird since COVID, during this whole debacle of, you know, employees and you can't find good help and whatever, we've been hiring like crazy, and I haven't run a single ad yet. I ask everybody, who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? And people come and say, hey, do you have any jobs? My mom wants to come work for your company. I'm like, what is your mom's skills? What does she do? Yeah, let's hire your mom. Sure. You know, we've picked up all kinds of people that do both cleaning and people that do outside stuff. So your business needs a lot of people, and a lot of people covers in the tasks. So what are the tasks? And the clearer you are about the tasks that you have, do you do social media? Are you doing marketing? Are you doing web design? Are you doing, and what is your time worth? This goes back to the value of your own time. If you charge $40 an hour for cleaning, your time is worth $40 an hour. Any task you do in your own home that's less than $40 an hour is a waste of your time. So you have to start saying, well, listen, why am I doing my own grocery shopping? That's not worth $40 an hour. I'm not going to pay somebody $40 an hour to do my grocery shopping. Why are you paying yourself $40 an hour to do your grocery shopping, right? That's your time. You can outsource that to someone else. Oh, wait a second. They have these services where you can order the groceries and they bring them right to your door. That's not a person you hired. It's a service. Is there a service that can replace you so your time is better spent doing what you do best, which is earning money? And so I have to keep asking myself the question, are there other jobs that I could be outsourcing so that I don't have to do it myself? And every time the answer is yes. Is there an app? Is there a piece of software? Is there a service? Is there something like Uber that does it for me already? If I don't have to fix dinner and someone else can fix it for me, or they can deliver it for me, I would rather do that because I can do that for a lot less than $40 per hour, right? So start thinking in terms of how much can I outsource? And is it one job or is it a big job? And so what I like to do is I like to write down on a piece of paper what the job is. Here's what the job entails. On a scale of 1 to 10, here's how important this job is to me. And if it's a 10, that means it has to happen today, right? It's on a deadline. If it's a 3 or a 4 project, it's not a big deal. I had an independent contractor that contacted me this morning and she said, my granddaughter is sick. I'm not going to be able to do the project for you that I promised I would do for you this week. It's a number 3. I don't care. Go take care of your granddaughter. That's the most important priority. And it doesn't matter if you do it this week or next week or the week after. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. Okay, how does she feel about us now? Oh, Angela was so understanding and she let me take care of my granddaughter in a time of need. It's fine. She doesn't get paid for the project she doesn't turn in, but whenever she turns it in, she'll get paid for that project. So start thinking, I know that Renee does a lot of her own cleaning. And so that's really awesome to know, but can she outsource other things in her business to independent contractors so that when she gets home, she does get to spend time then with her family and that's a more quality of life, right? One of the things I don't want for us to happen, and this happens a lot when we're small business owners, we sacrifice the quality of our lives because we're trying to wear all the hats. And then we say, wow, we just created this big, huge job for ourselves where we're working 20 hours a day. We're always tired. We're worn out. We don't have time for, for enjoying those cherished moments. What is this all for if you don't get to take vacations and you don't get to spend time with your family?
I did see you on TikTok, Angela. I love you on TikTok. Talking of that made me think of it because my daughter, she's 18 and I don't, like you, I'm like, I'll do Facebook things and I've got a lot of clients from that, but I didn't want to do TikTok. And I had clients asking me about TikTok and stuff like that. So I'm like, I have to do TikTok. And my daughter outsourcing it, I've been paying my daughter to help me do TikTok. And I seen you had TikTok. I was so excited. I was like, Angela's on TikTok. Oh my God, I love it. I love all your TikToks. They're great, by the way.
Thank you. So the challenge for me is social media. I worked an entire business. We worked by referral only, and I did no social media at all. And it wasn't until I went to Savvy Cleaner, which was 2015, we had a life-changing event, and a terrible teenager came to live with us. I say terrible because her behavior was terrible. Came to live with us, and I had to make a decision. It was a life-altering moment for me because I could not run the business with the day-to-day management of everything. At the same time, we were a mandatory 12 hours of therapy a week. And she was just destructive and had all kinds of chaos going on in her life. And I made a decision. I said, I can run my business or I can help this child survive. And I can't do both. And I can't do both very well. And I've just had a really successful 25-year run as a house cleaner. This might be the moment where I pivot and I reinvent myself. And I said, wow, what does that look like? And I had to create a business where I could work from home. And I said, wow, this is really interesting. I could take what I know, which is house cleaning. And I've been training house cleaning for years, but flying into different cities on the weekends and training teams. What would that look like if I did that online behind a computer screen? And I was like, well, I'd have to learn the computer screen thing. I'd have to learn the social media thing. Like, what does that look like? I completely reinvented myself, and social media is one of those things. I was like, but not social media. And I've had to learn it from scratch. And I was never going to do TikTok, but I will tell you this. A couple of years ago, I jumped on TikTok because I heard it was going to be big. And I grabbed my handle, which is Savvy Cleaner. My company name is Savvy Cleaner. I got Savvy Cleaner on Twitter, Savvy Cleaner on Facebook, Savvy Cleaner on all the different social medias. And I saved TikTok in case I ever wanted to use it. And then I did nothing with it. But we've recently hired a media manager, a department of our media, our head of media relations, because our company is getting really, really big right now, and we're global. And so as we hired a head of media, she's like, what about TikTok? I was like, oh, no, we're not doing TikTok. And she's like, oh, we got to get you dancing. I'm like, no. And so we started doing a lot of brand integrations with TikTok. And so expect some fun dances coming up because they've been taking me aside every day. Angela, it's time for your TikTok dance. I'm like, what do I got to do now? And they'll teach me the moves and play the music. And the good news is you can learn new social media and you can learn new stuff. But what has happened is over the last 48 hours, and we've only been on TikTok for seven clips. Okay, so like we're totally new to TikTok. But the cool thing is we are already negotiating branded deals right now with TikTok because that is a place where they see that as good value. And so we sat down, just like I'm telling you right now, as you sit down and you map out your 2022, what does that look like? So they started mapping out brands that we want to work with. And you could do the same thing, but mapping out brands that we want to work with. And what does that look like for TikTok? How many TikToks is that? What is the value on the TikToks that you're going to do? And so is there something you can outsource? Do I need to do all those myself, or is this something that I can outsource to someone on my team? And so, yes, I do show up and I do the little dances, but then they put together all the hashtags and they're making sure that it goes out every day at a certain time and whatever. That's something that I'm outsourcing to someone on my team. And I will show up and I will be the face of it, and we'll make something happen. But that is something that I need help with. It's not something I would figure out on my own. I'm not creative on my own. I don't have time to sit and sort through the TikToks and do the music and stuff on my own, but I can pay somebody, not my valued price, but I can pay somebody a lesser price to sit there and, pull the collaborations together, pull the value of that together, and then I'll show up and I'll do my part of it, and then they'll push it out to the market and they'll make that happen. And so whatever it is in your business, we all have different elements of our business based on where we are in our business. And the reason I bring this up is because there are tasks that you can outsource for a very small price. We have a variety of tasks, and every time I do something, my challenge to you is put yourself on a 15-minute timer. Every day, every 15 minutes, say, what am I doing right now? Is this the best value of my time, what I'm doing right now? And make a note to yourself. Right now, I'm doing this crazy project. No, I'm not the best person for this. Can you outsource just that project? Okay, the question is, like I said, if it's not a person, hey, Michael, welcome to the call. Good to have you here. The question is, can you outsource just that snippet or that segment? And if you can, put it together, like put together a list of what this project involves, what is required is certain software or certain music or certain licenses or certain whatever is it required if it's something that you're going to outsource for your business, and is there someone on Fiverr that already does that task? When you contact someone on Fiverr, now you have a parameter list of what you're looking for. I'm looking for someone that specializes in WordPress, or they specialize in Adobe Creative Cloud, or they specialize in whatever it is, right? You already have a parameter because you've already spelled it out. You've already put a price tag on it, on this is what I'm willing to pay. Now, as you start to look through people that offer those services, now you already know what's inside your budget, you know about what it is you're looking for, and it narrows down your search. So now you can narrow it down to 3 or 5 people, and you can outsource a project, see how they do. Great, they did a great job. They turned it in on time. It was awesome. It saved me X amount of time. For $8, I was able to do something that I would have had to do myself in the same amount of time at $40 per hour. For $8, I would rather outsource that project to them. And we work with a lot of people on Fiverr. It's the independent contractor vibe, right? You're not hiring a whole independent contractor. You're not creating a whole relationship with them. All you're doing is you're saying, I have this one series of tasks. For example, if you decide you're going to do social media, there's something you're going to do on social media every single day at a certain time. You can outsource that every day at a certain time. In my business, we call it sweeps. Now, many of you are in our Facebook groups, right? This will scale based on what your business model is. But for us, we have 8 Facebook groups that we run for our businesses, right? So we have what we call sweeps. The sweeps are every day at a certain time. We need to jump into the Facebook groups and we need to do this series of tasks. This is what I'm willing to pay for this sweep. And it goes up on the calendar. And then we have admin that will say, I will take that sweep. And someone else says, I will take this sweep. And we have people throughout the day that jump in and they do the sweeps for the Facebook groups. Those are all paid admins that are in our Facebook groups. But that means I don't have to be in there 24/7 answering the questions, but I have my own sweeps. I've got 2 of the sweeps a day, and I'll jump in and I'll answer questions and I respond to instant messages and stuff like that. And I also have sweeps for emails, and I have sweeps for YouTube, and I have sweeps for different areas of our business where I can't be all the places at all the times. So I have admins that jump in and they take different segments of the business. You see how that works? So
Yeah.
there are different things that you do in your business, but every business has admin tasks. And so while we're outsourcing some of the cleaning, I want you to also outsource some of the admin tasks. And if it's not a person, can it be a software? Like if you're using QuickBooks, for example, the QuickBooks takes over your payroll. It does your payroll instead of a person, right? And so can you outsource that to a software or to a service? And if you can, then you don't have to be in charge of the calendar and budgeting in all of the independent contractors. So
I
just-
use QuickBooks too. I like when you suggested that, it's great because especially like with the property management, they're already in there and like they are a 30-day invoice, but they've been really good at paying sooner. I mean, I had a problem with that before and I asked you advice and I followed that advice and now they make sure they pay me on time. They're even early now. So I do. It's great. I just push a button even before I leave so I don't have to go home. I just have it all saved in there. I push the service. If I have an upcharge, I have an automatic upcharge. They know. And before I even leave the parking lot, the invoice is sent and I don't have to deal with it again. So that takes over going home and sitting there and doing all the paperwork too. So that is something that like you're suggesting with like software that helps out a lot too. Taking the time to do that.
Anytime you can streamline anything in your business, that's money in the bank. And I want you to start thinking it in terms of whatever you charge for your cleaning service. Let's say it's $40 an hour. Every hour that you live is worth $40 an hour. I want you to start thinking in terms of that because it will change the way that you live. Because you're going to start saying, well, if I was going to pay $40 per hour to do this task, would I do it? The answer is no, I'm screwing around, I'm wasting time. I need to be doing something valuable with my life, right? You start upgrading the levels of tasks that you do. You start upgrading the lifestyle. Wait a second, if I was going to spend $40 an hour to spend time with my kids, the quality of time that you would spend is suddenly different. You start making eye contact. You start putting your phone away. You start having real conversations. Everything changes. When you go on vacation and you're like, nah, I want to sleep in. I don't feel very good or whatever. I don't want to go do that activity. You start saying, wait a second. We're creating memories here. This is important. I came all the way on this vacation. If I was going to spend $40 an hour to do this task, how would I show up? I would show up differently. I would show up with more enthusiasm. I would show up and I would smile for the pictures. I would get involved. It changes the way you live and it changes the quality of your life. And so if you value your time more at a higher level, it will change everything about the way you run your business, about the way you run your personal life, and it will change the way that you live because you're going to start asking a question. Why do I feel like crap if I'm worth $40 an hour? It's going to change the things that you eat, the amount of exercise, the amount of sleep that you get. Why am I staying up so late watching Jimmy Fallon on TV when I should be in bed because I need my beauty rest, right? Not knocking Jimmy Fallon, but I'm saying if you're up that late, you're up too late when you're running a business, right? Go to bed, get your beauty rest because you'll wish tomorrow that you'd had a little bit of extra time to sleep in. Value yourself is what I'm saying. Because if you value yourself, it's going to show up in your business. It's going to show up, you'll show up better for your employees. You'll show up better for your family.
Thank you.
Anyway, that was Susanna. I got off on a weird
really good. We're gonna ask our clients if they wanna. We're gonna ask our client, reach out to their clients, say if they wanna be independent contractor. But when you're hiring, insured, do they have a license? Whether to go to other insurance house?
You dropped out there, and I missed the last part of your question. Something about a license.
Yes. So if we're hiring independent contractor, do we require that they have to have a license? And do we require they have to have insurance when they entering customers' residential houses?
Yes. Thank you for that question. Here's the thing. Out of respect to my customers, I don't want to send anyone to their house that is not licensed and insured for this reason. And I say licensed if you are required to be licensed. If you're not required to be licensed in your area, then you don't need to be licensed, but you must be insured. If I send someone to someone else's house and they damage something, the customer is going to look back at me and say, well, you sent somebody to my house that didn't know what they were doing and they screwed up whatever it was they screwed up. And now they're not good for it because they don't have the money. Who are they going to come to hoping that they're going to get reimbursed? The customer doesn't want to out of pocket a great big expense, and they don't want to have their insurance premiums go up to make house, homeowner insurance claims on something that you screwed up on because you sent a professional to their house who wasn't really a professional. If you're a professional, you have insurance. And so my requirement as part of my agreement with all independent contractors is you must be insured. It's just, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's not that expensive. For the cost, I think you're going to recoup it in about 1 hour worth of time per month. it's worth it to be insured. And for this reason, there are some screwball customers that are out there as well. And so a customer will go, oh, you screwed this up, yada, yada, or whatever. No, I didn't. And it's your word against their word. And I don't want to put an independent contractor in a situation where they go into a screwball customer's house who, for whatever reason, maybe they just don't like the independent contractor. And then they go, oh, they ruined this, that, or the other, or whatever. Okay, at least they're insured. You know what I mean? It protects you and it protects the customer. So my mother came to visit. She's like, oh, honey, I'd love to help you on a job. And I said, are you insured? She's like, no. And I said, then stay home. You don't get to come with me. I would love your help, but no, you don't get to come with me. You're not insured. You're not part of our company. Goodbye. And she was like, oh, well, for rude, I've cleaned so many. I taught you how to clean. Yeah, you did, but you're not insured. You know.
So one of the requirements,
Yeah.
or the requirement is they have to be insured.
Yeah, well, they're a business. Okay. One of the requirements is they have to have a business. If they're an independent contractor, they have a business. They are an independent contractor, meaning you are hiring them as a professional business to come do some work for you on behalf of another customer. So they have their own small cleaning business. Yeah, that means they're insured. They have cleaning supplies, they have training, they have a vehicle, all of the requirements that you have for an employee. Yeah, all those things.
But I have to interrupt and ask this then. Is
Yeah,
that
go
okay?
ahead.
Okay, I hear so many people who just hire independent contractor really just because they don't want to pay them as an employee, but yet they're really not somebody who has their own business of any kind at all. And you know what I mean? How do you, I don't know how to explain what I'm saying, right?
What I hear you saying is, what happens if they get audited? Is that your question?
I guess, because like me, yes, I'm an independent contractor. I signed for one place that I work for, but I do have my own business. I'm insured and stuff like that. But now if I wanted to hire an independent contractor, just because I didn't want to hire an employee, you know, but I know they'd have to be insured. But what if they were just a basic person who could really be either an employee, they don't have their own business, but a lot of people will hire them as independent contractors, even though they don't really have their own business. Is that legal?
No. Part of being an
They have to
independent
have their own
contractor is they have their own business. Now, it is possible that they don't have any other customers. It could be possible that they just went on hiatus. There's some real business owners out there that have a real business. They have an LLC or they are insured and they could go clean a house at any time. But for whatever reason, their personal life got in the way, or they had, I don't know, elder parents or kids, or they were pregnant, or they took a hiatus or whatever. They may not have other customers at the moment, but they have a business. And
Okay.
So what you're looking for, and you said they're just basic people. I want to throw this out there. We're all basic people.
I know we are.
We're all just humans. But the thing that you have to be careful of is if you are audited, you have to say, yes, we followed all of these rules. If you're hiring somebody and you're telling them you got to show up at 9 o'clock in the morning and you're going to work till 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you treat them as an employee, then you have a problem if you're ever audited. And what they can do is they can sue you for back employee withholding taxes that have not been paid. And that can get really expensive because the fines on those are very steep. And you do not want to screw around with the IRS. So if for any reason, and what will trigger it, for example, is if you have like an independent contractor that gets fired and then they file for unemployment, and then you go, oh no, they were an independent contractor. Show us the invoices they sent you, right? I have a program that we do at Savvy Cleaner where every Sunday night at 6 p.m., everyone must turn in a progress report. Your progress report is also your invoice. And it says invoice paid on every one of the progress reports, okay? It's a report that goes back and forth between me and the independent contractor, invoice paid. It's not payroll. Payroll is for employees and we take taxes out of the payroll. But if it's an invoice, they have to invoice you every week. And so this is the price we agreed on, and they're going to send me an invoice for that price. I did the job, I'm turning it in. Here are my notes for the job. I get paid. Here's my invoice, right? And so you have to treat them as an independent contractor. You cannot treat them as an employee and then expect not to have to pay taxes.
So
That is
if-
illegal and you might get caught. If you do get caught, you're in big trouble.
Okay, so you do have to make sure that they are a business, not, okay.
Yeah. It's really sticky, but the IRS is not, they're not happy when they find out that's been going on. And they will create all kinds of miserable chaos for you. So be
Yeah.
careful of that. Please be careful of
Okay.
that.
Thank you, I'm glad.
Any other questions on that topic while we're still on that topic? All right, Michael, go ahead.
Well, so as I mentioned to you before, I started in commercial cleaning, and I don't know, maybe it's based on the area,
Yes.
maybe it's based on individual.
Thank you. Well, I've been
businesses.
doing it for 14 years, and I've been full-time though.
Go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
So, and I've never, and always, no matter what type of business it was, whether it was a dealership, a bank, a hospital, a office building, it was a pretty straightforward, quick process where there was no insurance required. It was a pretty just basic information on your part given to them. So is that normal? Is that kind of like with the where you're located, and if it's like commercial versus residential, where insurance and licensing and all that is not really a factor sometimes? Or 'cause I've never had that before, and I've worked in commercial cleaning for decades.
So it does come down to where you live. My mom and dad live in a little rural town out in the middle of Oregon, and they all leave their doors unlocked, and they leave the keys in their car vehicles. Nobody locks their doors. And I mean, I wouldn't do that where I live, because if you leave your car in the drive, not the garage, like if you leave it in the drive, someone will break in and they'll steal your stuff. We would never leave the keys in our car. Everything is different there. There are no contracts. Everything is where mom and dad live. It's all verbal. It's handshake deals. You go into the market. Oh, I forgot my wallet. Oh, I'll catch you on Friday. And they're like, okay. If you did that in my town, they'd call the police and say so-and-so just stole something. It does depend on where you live. If you are doing commercial contracts and they're saying we don't need proof of insurance, we'll just pay you whenever, and they pay you on time. I mean, that's great. I would like to suggest that you do run your business as professionally as possible, just for the fact that then there are no surprises. And when we get married, for example, we have what we call vows. There are agreements that are made, and then you sign a marriage certificate and you say, these are our agreements. We're signing this in stone, right? So there's this expectation that both parties in the marriage are going to do whatever it is that they promise. They're going to be faithful to each other till death do us part, in health and in sickness, and richer or for poorer, whatever those vows end up being. Those are the agreements that you make. And that is the person that we have the most intimacy with in our entire lives. And so now we're going to go into business with somebody we hardly know, and we're just going to like willy-nilly it, and we're not going to have a contract. How weird is that? And then if anything malfunctions and anything goes south, how do you enforce it? Because it was just a handshake deal. If you have it in writing, then it removes the covert contracts. And the covert contracts get really tricky, where if I do this, then you're going to do this, right? Like I expect you're going to do this. And we make up these stories in our heads. Well, I did this, so this person obviously is going to keep their end of my invisible bargain. It doesn't work that way. But if you spell it out on paper and you say, I'm a business, here's what I need from you. I give you a service, you give me money. It's paid by a certain day at a certain time, then that person can agree to those terms. And the clearer you are about those terms, even if it's a handshake deal, even if it's a friendship deal, then all of a sudden those are the terms. Like here's a weird thing to throw at you, but it's in writing. I have a YouTube show, and I have an editor who processes the YouTube show, and we license every single image that's in our YouTube show. I used a picture of my sister in the YouTube show, and I sent my mother a letter that said, can you sign a waiver for my sister to be in the YouTube show? She said, well, I'm your mother. Why do I need to sign this contract? I said, because if you don't, my editor can't use the photo. It's part of our business. It's part of the agreement. Well, do I have to sign one of these for every picture you use? I said, if you're in the video, you have to sign the contract. It's part of the rules. Now she knows what the rules are. but she can never come back to me and say, oh, I'm going to sue you because you used a picture of me in your YouTube show and, you know, it aired publicly. There is no room for misunderstanding if you have it in writing. And so even though your area may not require it, as a business owner, I'm going to suggest that you require it. There have been a lot of people that came and said, well, I know you, right? I've hired family members. I'm your family. I don't need to go through a job interview. Actually, I would love it if you'd go through a job interview, because then you'll know what my expectations are and you'll know what our company culture is. And I can give you an employee handbook and I can create an employee file. And if you don't follow the rules for our employees, I can write you up, right? Not to be ugly. Yes, you're a family member, but if I treat you as all the other employees, there are no special accommodations. And guess what's going to happen? You're not going to take advantage of the company. You're going to show up and you're going to act like an employee, and you're going to show up and you're going to be on time. And if you're not on time, I'm going to write you up because that's the agreement that we made. Make sense? If you treat your business like a business, everybody in the business will go, oh, well, that's how the company operates. They might not like it, but then they're going to treat your company like a company. Where we get in trouble as small business owners is we don't treat our businesses like a real business. And then we wonder why our customers, our family, our friends, and the people that love us and support us most don't treat it like a business either. And then we're like, well, why am I so stressed out? Why am I spinning my wheels? I just can't get the support I need. I can't get the help I need. Why are my employees hijacking my company? Why? Because we enabled them to, right? So the reality is the more you treat your business like a business, the more results you're going to get that look like business results. And so for every deal you do, even if you live out in the country, like out in the middle of nowhere, like my mom and dad, for every contract you have, and I can't tell you how many times they've hired a plumber. Oh, we paid the plumber and he never finished the work and whatever. Well, go back to your contract. Well, there was no contract. It's a handshake deal. And I'm like, wow, why didn't you make up a contract, right? I can't tell you how many times things malfunction because people have in their head these invisible contracts. Invisible contracts cannot be enforced ever. Sorry. Usually somebody gets the short end of the stick, as they say. Does that sort of make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Stephanie, what's your question? And you're on mute. I muted you when I thought I heard noise coming from your Zoom. You'll have to unmute.
Sorry, it was my dogs.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry. Okay, so the worksheets, when we have them sign the worksheet, that's just as good as a contract?
That is your contract.
And everything? Okay.
That is your contract. And I like to keep it simple. When I do the walkthrough, I always give the customer a worksheet and I have my own worksheet.
Yeah.
And so what we do in our company, and I always say that what we do in our company, because I'm going to give them my rules and regulations and how my company operates. I'm the one that's doing the presentation. This is how my company operates. It's not like, well, what do you want me to clean? No, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to clean, right?
Yeah.
We're going to walk through your house. You're going to tell me what your priorities are. And then I'm going to tell you how my company operates. But my company uses this worksheet. And so now that we each have one, we'll go through it together as we go through your house. And if you have anything that stands out, we're both going to make notes so that we can come to an agreement at the end. Is that fair? And they go, yeah, that's fair. Okay, awesome. Now we're on the same page. We've just agreed we're going to walk through the house. We're going to look at the priorities, and then we're both going to point things out. They're going to point out to me like, oh, don't ever touch that. That's a little delicate thing standing on one leg. Okay, great. We'll make a note of that. We're not going to touch or clean or dust that little ornament. I'm also going to point out my maintenance, deep cleaning, and special projects. As I get to a part of the house, they're going to say, oh, don't worry about that. I'm going to stop and say, whoa, when you say don't worry about that, does that mean we're not going to add that to this list? And I want clarification right then. And they go, yeah, that's like our weird, crazy room or whatever. Don't go in that room. Great. I'm going to cross it off right now. Are we agreeing that we're going to cross this room off? This is not included in the price of the house. And they go, yeah, we're agreeing. Okay, great. In the event that you ever decide you want to add it back on, you're going to call the office and you're going to get a special price. We're going to bring special equipment. This is going to be a special day. This is going to be one of those 80 gigs that we might outsource to someone else, right? This is going to be a special project, not part of the maintenance clean. We're crossing it off right now. When we get to the end of this walkthrough, we're going to go back over the worksheet. We're going to say, okay, so we're going to clean these 3 bedrooms. We're going to skip that bedroom that you mentioned. We're going to do this, 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 and these 5 special projects. This is the price that I have for you today. Is this what we're agreeing to today? And they go, well, yes or no. Okay, well, now you negotiate yes or no. You figure out what that means. Are we in agreement? Are we in agreement? Are we in agreement? Do we agree to this? Is this what we're up for? Is this what we want to go ahead and get started with? And then you say, I can guarantee the prices I'm giving you today until next Thursday. And I don't know why I always say next Thursday. It's just weird and it's random and it throws them off guard. And if they say no today, I really do only give them till next Thursday. Next Thursday always comes a week away, but I always only give them till next Thursday. Okay, so I can guarantee the price until then, right? Based on everything that we talked about today. After that, I might have already given your slot away, but I will hold it for you till Thursday. Okay, great. If they say yes today, let's just go ahead and initial this so that we can get started and I can get you on the calendar. And they can sign it, they can initial it. I don't care what they do, but we just agreed to everything. We just went over everything. We just covered the pricing, and they're initialing it is them saying, I agree to these terms. These are the terms we are agreeing to at this price. And if there's anything else, like if I ever show up, if I show up next Thursday and you've changed this on me, like you added stuff to my worksheet, I got to do another whole walkthrough and we got to come up with a whole new price. Mrs. Peterson, you do not want me to come back for a second walkthrough. And they laugh and they're like, no, I don't. Really, this is good. Okay, good. So this is the price that we're agreeing on for the services that we talked about today. This is it. Now, I tell people, if I show up and you have a different worksheet for me, one of 2 things has to happen. I got to break your legs or I got to charge you a really hefty fee. And they're like, oh, all right, I get the terms. It's a joke. But what we're saying is you don't get to give me a worksheet. I'm the one that brings the worksheet, right? That's how my company operates. And I'm not kidding. You do not get to give me a to-do list when I show up. Oh, hey, while you're here, can you do such and such? Oh, Mrs. Peterson, I'm going to have to break your legs. Oh, yeah, right. You told me that I don't get to add stuff. And I always make it really absurd like that because obviously I'm not going to break your legs, right? Take their firstborn child or whatever it is. It's absurd, but it reminds them, I just added something to the list and we made an agreement. And I make a really big deal about it because we're not doing that. And here's the reason we're not. Let's say that I do hire an independent contractor. The independent contractor comes into Mrs. Peterson's house and she says, oh, by the way, can you do such and such? No. That is not how we work. I don't want to get a phone call from an independent contractor that said they added 3 more hours of work to what I was already prepared to do. I do not want that call. That is not how we operate. We're not doing that. End of story. I don't want a new employee that I send out on a job. Heaven forbid something should happen and I have to send somebody out to do a job that's not familiar with that customer. I don't want them getting in a situation like that. And so all of us follow the same rules. That's how we do in my company. We all follow the same rules. If this is what is agreed to on this worksheet, this is the worksheet all of us follow. And if I have an independent contractor that's going to Mrs. Peterson's house, I post this in a PDF file, and I held that up as if that was Mrs. Peterson's worksheet. I post that in a PDF file, and that goes along with the job. That's part of the work order. This is what we agreed to. And so when they get to the house, they're not going to go in and start cleaning that scary room. It is not on the worksheet. That is not part of the job. And that's the risk you run when you have an independent contractor if you have not clarified what your rules and regulations are, and if you have not clarified it with the customer. Going back to what Michael said, if it's a handshake deal and you don't have it in writing and it's not written in stone, how do you know what's supposed to be done if you have to replace yourself for the day? If you have a family emergency, what if you were in a car accident and you had to go to the emergency room? You're in the hospital and you call an independent contractor as a replacement. What are they going to read your head? Are they going to read your mind or your thoughts? Or they weren't there at the walkthrough. They have no idea what you promised. That needs to be somewhere in writing right now. If I have to replace myself in 24 hours on this job, it's got to be somewhere online that I can forward that information to somebody and say, can you work for me? Can you do this job?
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to be successful in this business is if you can replace yourself on the spur of the moment in the event that something happens. Hoping you don't, but if you do, are you prepared? And if you're not prepared, that's something we should work towards. Make that your 2020 goal, 2022 goal, that for this next year, you're going to completely replace yourself in the event that something happens. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? How quickly can you get someone else in to cover your shifts for you?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments on that while we're on that topic? All right, new topic. Anyone have a new topic or a new question? Renee?
I had a question. Well, it was more of a question comment. I just happened to see your YouTube video about hardwood floors.
Yes, thank you.
I always get a notification and I watch them. And it was like actually right before I came on here. And I do have a client's house, and she has 6,000 square feet house. She has 4 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms. It's like a big house, and it is all flooring, no carpet. And I saw your video about that, and I was going to ask you about that today, about what kind of mop you suggest. I've been using the e-cloth mop. I don't know. It it has like where you peel it off, and you know the microfiber cloth. It's really good, and it gets a lot. But I've been using it because some of the houses are just about 2,000 square feet or whatever. But with this house, I was thinking, how in God's name am I going to keep, without having to use a spray bottle is what I was using with and I use Sal Suds like you were talking about. I've always used that, but I saw that you had it in a container and you wet all your microfiber rags the night. Do you do that the night before?
You could do it the morning of or the night before.
Oh, okay.
I would suggest within about 24 hours of doing it. But for a 6,000 square foot house, I'd say probably about 10 pads, 10 mop pads.
Okay. All right. I've done that house, like, it's my 3rd time, and they're bi-weekly house now. So I mean, she loves, she pays the price. I'm $40 an hour now. And no questions, she pays the price. She has referred me to her other friends, and they all have big houses. And I'm like, I'm not taking any new clients till January, but I can do the walkthrough and the quote. And she she gave them my card, and she gave them my checklist, like you talk about.
Nice.
She's like, oh, this is what Renee has. So I always, like you said, I give them a copy. I keep a copy. But that was a question I was going to ask, because that is a lot of mopping, let me say, for all those floors and everything. So I was kind of wondering, like in a big house like that, what you used, and is easy to transport with you, because you don't want, when you're cleaning, you're already bringing things in. You don't want like a ton of stuff to carry in with you.
Yeah, for those of you that didn't see it, we use a steamer. It's a Bissell steamer, and the mop head on it is about this big. So it covers a lot of territory. It's going to be equivalent to a regular mop that you're using in a house. But I like the Bissell steamer because it has a handheld attachment. And so we can use that handheld attachment with no chemicals whatsoever for like really icky, gunky bathtubs, for grout in showers, for gunk that's on the bottom of a shower floor, inside the oven. We use it for so many of our special upsell projects. That is the one product that I do carry with me on deep cleans and maintenance cleans and special projects. That's the one product. And it's because on a maintenance clean, you can get so much done with so much less. Instead of carrying mops and mop buckets and all that stuff with you on a job, I do carry a mop bucket, but the mop bucket has all of my cloths in it, and it has my steamer in it, but I don't use it for a mop bucket, because when you stop to run mop water, now you have mop water, and how are you going to get that from place to place around the house? And then what do you do with the dirty mop water at the end? It's just a whole bunch of extra steps. So as far as the prep goes, I've got a shoebox with an airtight container, and I put the 10 mop heads in it. In Renee's case, I would guess about 10. And I say that because I've got a 3,000 square feet of just hardwood in my house, plus another story. And the other story does have carpet on it, but that's about and when I walk in, I'm like, I would never clean this house. That's just too much hardwood. It's hateful how much hardwood floor there is, but it has to be cleaned. And so you got to vacuum all that first, or use a dust mop, and then you're going to mop it. But what happens is with the pre-wet system, and it's literally 1 drop of Sal Suds with the 4 cups of water, and you shake it up and the water is absorbed by the microfiber heads, okay? And then you just go through the house, you mop as much as you possibly can. When you see that the floor is not wet anymore, that's when you change your pad. But you can get through an entire house, both floors. If both floors are hardwood, about 10 pads would be your thing. And that counts for 3 bathrooms or 4 bathrooms, you said, if you're using the steamer part of it on the ceramic tile. So for hardwood floor, you do not use the steam. You just use it as a regular mop. Rip off the head that goes in your basket. And then when you get to the ceramic floors in the bathroom, then you turn on the steam and you actually steam the hairspray up off the floor. And so it's a multi-purpose unit that I use for the handheld. I use it for the steaming of the bathrooms. I use it for regular mopping of the bamboo or hardwood floors or the pergo floors or vinyl floors or whatever it is. It's all one unit, and I'm not carrying a separate mop. I'm just carrying that little handle piece.
Yeah, that helped out because I haven't had a big, like, all hardwood. Her family owns a flooring company, so
Oh, wow.
obviously
Yeah.
she has this huge house, and I was like, wow, that is a lot. I was going to ask you that question today, and it just happened to pop up, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a great idea for that. I don't have that steamer, but I'm going to buy one. I'm going to click on your link when I get back down there for that. And that's what I'll do, because I've been just like the smaller houses. I was just using like the microfiber one like that too. But I was thinking, I just try to make it simple and the same, like when I train somebody, like I know you talk about a lot, exactly. If everybody's doing it the same way, there's never a question. And I train people to do it the same way. That way, like they can replace me. So everybody knows exactly what you need, what you're doing. And it gets done the same way. So you hopefully get the same results as everybody does it that way.
I love the steamer for this fact. And I shouldn't confess to this, but when you do a deep clean on somebody's house, like the first time you show up at their house and they've got just a really nasty bathtub or shower and it's just caked in mold and it's horrible or whatever, and you have to use a heavy duty chemical, we don't mix and match chemicals. And so if you use a heavy duty chemical like bleach, for example, when you're done with the bleach, you still have to go in and scrub and clean out the shower. You can go in with a steamer and erase the rest of whatever the bleach didn't get out with your steamer, and you're not mixing any chemicals. This is just water and steam, okay? So it's a really good tag along to heavy duty products. The other thing that I like about the steamer is there are no chemicals. And so if I'm sending a new person out that is unsure of the chemicals and we haven't put them through training yet, if they go to a really gunky bathtub and they have to use a steamer to get that out, we're talking about steam. I don't have to buy the person a whole new bathtub because they used something that ate through the fiberglass, right? Oh, I used some heavy duty chemical thinking I really needed it. And then you got to buy them a new bathtub. With the steamer, it's water, you know what I mean? It doesn't damage. So it really reduces the damage, the property damage. If somebody goes rogue on you and they try to do something crazy. And then also, it's a whole lot less on your sinuses. So it's much healthier for you to use a steamer.
Yeah.
I just love it for so many reasons.
I'm going to do that. I was like, oh yeah, that was the question I had. And with that, and now that all my business is growing from learning from Savvy Cleaner and everything. And I remember this time last year, my biggest issue was, how do I get clients? I need clients. And really a lot of it has just been referrals, like everybody talks about. I do have one street and I advertise, I'm cleaning on Crail, the avenue, it's called Crail Avenue.
Yeah.
And they see me like you're talking about with my uniform on, with my sweeper or my whatever I'm carrying in. And I literally do one house to the next house in the neighbor. I have like 5 houses on that street. I do 2 a day because I can't do more than that by myself.
But you can probably do the 2 because they're on the same street. If you had to drive 45 minutes between the jobs, you wouldn't have time to do them without, coming home at an unreasonable hour.
Yeah, so it works out for me that way too. So I'm getting the work. So I'm trying to make sure I'm making everything exactly the same way in every house. And like on our classes, we take always having the same chemicals we use and everything. So when I can replace myself, like I want to do or hire, that it'll work out that way. And the customer gets the same result. They know exactly what to expect and what to get. So thank you for that.
Way to go, Renee. That's awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions or anything that we wanted to cover while we're still on that topic?
I have a quick question. So we're currently using a flat mop system, microfiber mop, like she's talking about. It works out nice for us because it's versatile. It has attachments like your Doka pole where we do the high dusting. We can hit the vaulted ceilings and things like that with it. So, and similar to your mop pads where we're just treating them there on site, bringing them out, go. We were entertaining getting a steamer because we're running across those. I mean, with the flat mop system, you can't. Some tile floors have you can mop, and it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Would that be a good solution for even if we lay down the first pass with a cleaner with our with our floor cleaner, and then come back over that with a steamer as like instead of a rinse pass,
So
using that steamer instead, or are we doing too much work at that point?
Yeah, you're doing too much work. The whole thing about the floor is this, and COVID kind of messed everybody up because people started saying, how do I disinfect my floors? Why are you disinfecting your floors? You've never disinfected your floors before. What are you doing on your floors that you need to you don't eat off your floors, you walk on them. Having them clean is good enough, right? So it goes back to setting realistic expectations, number one. Number two, what's on the floor? What is on the floor? What is the surface type, number one? And number two, what is the soil type? What is it you're trying to remove? So with the steamer, you're dealing with a microfiber cloth, which already removes most of the gunk, right? Just a microfiber cloth, just the nature of microfiber, it removes like 99.9% of all the gunk, right? Yay. And then with the steamer, it removes 99.9% of all the gunk. That's good enough. So if you're going into a bathroom, for example, and there's like hairspray that's sprayed, spray, and it drops on the floor, okay, that needs to be cleaned up. And doing just a damp mop may not get that up. That's why I really like turning on the steam, because that's going to like steam it off and it's going to clean it really well. Now, I should clarify, it's not going to clean the grout. And so scrubbing all the grout in between each time, it's not going to do that. It's going to wipe the top of the floor and it's going to steam everything off. There is a grout attachment, but I would classify that or call that a special project. And so if somebody wants the grout cleaned, I would charge that as a special project. Hey, that's going to take me 45 minutes to do. Let's do that on a separate day. And for the maintenance cleans, let's agree that we will just use the steam mop and we will steam the floors. So the customer understands they're not going to be coming to clean the grout every single time, right? And so again, it comes back to the expectations that you set. But as far as spraying cleaner on the floor, if you're using a steamer, you can remove a lot of the chemicals that you're using. So to put chemicals down and then to clean the chemicals up, yeah, that's extra work. But with the steamer, we'll use like 1 drop of Sal Suds and that cleans, and you disinfect the floor with the steamer and it shines. It's no rinse. There's 1 pass, you're done, So it's 2 passes because you got a vacuum and then you mop. But don't keep doing processes where you got to keep going over it and over and over it. That's not necessary.
Okay.
If it's a hospital operating room, maybe it's necessary, but in a home, that's not necessary.
Gotcha.
I want your floors to be clean. Don't get me wrong. I want your floors to be clean, but we don't need to disinfect them or anything.
Right. And what about my concern is some of those little Bissell unit, because we're looking for something lightweight. Obviously, we can't lug around a larger unit. I can't remember the brand name that we looked at, but then I saw your video with the Bissell unit. The durability of the Bissell, obviously it's fairly low price point, so replacing it isn't going to, especially if we're doing special projects with it, it'll pay for itself, I think, pretty, within a couple special projects. Durability so far pretty good on those for you?
Yeah, so they run sales on them regularly. I know we bought several at $129, which is $129 per unit. That's not, you make that up in 2 hours worth of time. It's a unit that I feel safe giving to a brand new employee, and they're lightweight enough that anybody pretty much at any size can carry it. And of course, we just put the whole thing inside 1 mop bucket with all of our cloths, and the handle it's about that big around. But you can carry it with just a couple of fingers and then carry the mop bucket with you. It's not heavy at all. I can carry the whole steamer and the handle in 1 hand, and then I've got my cleaning supplies in the other hand. So it's 2 things that I'm carrying, 1 in each hand, to the customer's house, and that's it. That's all I carry in. I'm not carrying in extra brooms and mops and vacuums and all that stuff. And since COVID, we are using the customer's vacuum. And I have that conversation with the customer on the walkthrough. Since COVID, we are using the customer's vacuum. Do you need a new vacuum? And I like to ask them that question. Do you need a new vacuum? And they might be, I don't know. Let me take a look at the vacuum you have. You know what? I do recommend you have a new vacuum. Here's the reason why. For a couple $100, it's going to be less than the cost or the equivalent of the cost of one of our cleanings. You own the vacuum now that has, you know, all that, the breakaway, the handheld part, you can use it to clean your stairs. You can use it in between my cleanings. I'm going to clean it out and do a 360 every single time I come. I'll double check it, make sure that your cords are operational, that your wheels are operational, that everything's been wiped down before I leave. But we'll use your vacuum on your floor. And that way you and I can both guarantee that it's not going to other people's homes and going over all the floors in their homes, and then coming in and all over the floor in your home. And when you explain it that way, customers are like, yeah, I'll buy the new vacuum. What one do you recommend? Well, if you're an Amazon affiliate, I recommend you give them your Amazon affiliate link. Let them buy a vacuum through Amazon with your affiliate link, and then you make a commission off of it. Boom. And then when you get to their house, you get to use the vacuum you want to use. And my suggestion is this: recommend the vacuum you want them to buy. Don't let them pick it out because they have no idea what to pick out, right? And if it's like a grandma and she just had her shoulder replaced or something, recommend something that's lightweight that she's going to be able to use when you're not there. She may not use it at all, but recommend something that's going to be easy for both of you, that has good suction power. You know, hey, it's a win-win. But for years, I don't think I've carried a vacuum around with me in about 20 years. I've been recommending everybody, I use the customer's vacuum in every house, even long before COVID. It's just that COVID gave us a really great excuse to not cross-contaminate, because suddenly the world became aware of cross-contamination and germs, dirt, other people, you know what I mean? So anyway, any questions on that while we're on that topic? No. All right, next topic. Questions, comments? Yes, Michael.
So I wanted to get your input. You brought up like hoarding before, and I have a new customer that I just started, and she's a cat lover. She has a cat. She's an older woman who has some health issues. She can't really get around, and her living condition is a little bit concerning. I don't know how long she's lived like that, but as soon as I came into her home, I noticed that there was a big problem there, just based on the smell of the cat and the cat droppings on the floor. And she needs a lot of help. And I'm just like, not even cleaning wise, but there are light bulbs that need to be fixed. The kitchen sink needs to have some work done on it. She doesn't have her toilet is messed up. Her shower head is not working properly. She's clearly, this goes beyond cleaning. I kept having to ask her, like, cause I mean, there was like cat food that I wasn't sure if she wanted it thrown out. It was just on random plates, and there were hairballs by the windowsills and all throughout. It was, obviously I couldn't be there all day, and I told her it's gonna take a little bit to really get it to where it should be. She promised that she was gonna be throwing some stuff out. She was gonna have her granddaughter come out and help her, but I don't. It's just one of those situations where you want to do your normal service, you want to do what you promised, but at the same time, some of it was not even manageable, because like her bedroom had so much stuff on the floor for that you couldn't even get in with the vacuum to do that. And her laundry room had no light. I had to open the door to the outside to just be able to see in there. And between the walls that really need this isn't just a normal cleaning, that it really needs like a continuous regular cleaning schedule. She did agree to do it bi-weekly, so I was happy with that. But I mean, I had 2 masks on, and it was still very hard to breathe. The odor was just awful, and I hope that it's gonna get manageable, but wanted to get your input on situations like that, especially with older individuals, because I have an older client that he's also bi-weekly. He has a dog instead of a cat, and he's lived by himself for years. He has a much bigger home. He's he's a very nice guy. He also has a lot of stuff in his house, but it's clean for the most part. It's just he has a lot. This woman, she's nice. But there's just something I don't know if I should suggest to her. Maybe like if I know someone that can come out and help her with anything that's not cleaning related, like replacing her fluorescent light bulbs or changing her filters or figuring out what's wrong with all her, the toilet, the shower head. Just, I don't know how to, wanted to get your input on dealing with individuals like that.
I want to stop for just a second and acknowledge the fact that you care. That's huge. My heart breaks when I hear stories like this, because this could be any of our parents. This could be a person who, for some reason, something sad happened in their life and they let one thing go and that triggered something else to be let go, and that triggered something else, and they didn't have the money to replace something. And then, you know what I mean? It's kind of a compound effect of things that fall apart. And my heart breaks when I see people like this, because golly, they're humans. They deserve to live in a clean place, and they deserve to live in a happy home that doesn't have urine all over it. You know what I mean? My heart really goes out for this person. And what we have to ask ourselves as a business owner is, how much do I have to give? And you have to really be honest with yourself and say, what are my qualifications? Am I qualified for this type of a job? And how much time can I spend? And so when you go to the customer's house, you can't just go in and say, well, I want to help you here, and so I'm here all day. There is no all day. You have to put yourself on a time limit and say, I have 4 hours I can donate every 2 weeks, not donate, but sell you at a certain price. And what can we agree on that will be done during those 4 hours? So if I'm here for 4 hours, and literally get a checklist and walk through the house and say, this is what I'm able to do, but I can't mop and vacuum the floors if we can't get to the floors. And so instead of vacuuming the floors, is there something you would like me to do instead? For example, do you want me to pick up all the hairballs or whatever? And you might have to negotiate things, cross stuff off your list and add something new in. And so if it's the hairballs that you're going to do, you're going to go around with, it might even be, because you can't get to all the plugs, it might even be a cordless vacuum, where you're going to go scoop up all the hairballs out of all the corners of the room. If it's just removing dishes from all the rooms of the house, that might be a special project that you do in place of dusting, for example, because you can't dust if there's stuff everywhere. You know what I mean? So you have to make some kind of accommodations for, here's what I can do every time I come. And if I come and next time there are no dishes, then we might be able to move to a different area. That time you might replace all the books. You might go and you find all the books in the house and you move all the books to one central location, so that now you can start to clean up. And you might be able to, work on separate, different packages, separate packages or separate rooms of the house, until it's more of a conducive living schedule to her. But I would ask the question, is there anyone I can call that can help out? And it might be a child, it might be a relative, it might be someone from the church. And I like to always ask, is there someone outside the house that can jump in and can help in between the times that I'm here? And I always want to ask, who's looking out for you? If you have an elder person that's living by themselves, somebody needs to check in on them. What happens if they drop dead? Who's going to feed all the cats? You know what I mean? There needs to be some care. And so if I go into a home like that, the first thing that I do is I say, is there another number of someone that I can call in case of emergency? And I want to get that on file. And would you mind if we call them together right now, so that you can introduce me? I hope I never have to call them, but if I do, it's not a cold call. And I'm calling saying, hey, I'm at Mrs. Jones' house. There was an incident where she passed out, or she had a stroke or something, and you're her first contact. You don't ever want that to be a cold call. And so if you can call them right now while they're in a cognitive state where they can have that conversation with that person, I want to get that on file right now. Have them hand you the phone. And then you say, hey, I'm Michael. I'm with this cleaning service. I'm helping your mom out. I just wanted to introduce myself. And she has you as her first contact. So I just wanted to introduce myself in case there's any situation. By the way, how often do you check in with your mom? And I just wanted to make sure that, she's looked after in between our cleanings. So at least there's a conversation going on there. We had to call a customer because when I showed up at the customer's house, the woman was covered in bruises. And that was a concern to me because she was in her 80s. I got a woman in her 80s that now has bruises. Are these natural bruises, or is she being abused, or what happened? Well, what happened was she was falling down the stairs because her eyesight was bad. But she didn't want to tell her husband, who was also in his 80s, because she didn't want him to feel inadequate as a husband because they had got no stair rails. So what I was able to do then with that contact information, I said, hey, do you mind if I call your son? It's possible that he could help us get a handrail going down the stairs so that you're safer when you go up and down the stairs. She said, well, I would love to do that, but I don't want to cause anyone the problem. So she's, there are people that are, they don't want to be a burden, but yet their living style is not, it's not livable. It's really not. So if we can get help from outside, if we can call someone from the church, if we can get a family member in, if we can start getting outside help, we can start help navigating that person to a better way of life. But the reality is they're probably not going to change at that age. They're not going to get rid of the cats. Their house will always smell like urine. There are things that even if you bring enzymatic cleaners in and you hire a carpet cleaner, or she does, or whatever, it's going to happen again and again and again. The animals are trained that way. That's her lifestyle. And so can you make her more comfortable while she's still independent and still lives there? And if that's out of your scope, you need to be able to admit that to yourself as a business owner. Our business at the stage that we're at right now is not qualified or capable to help you at the level you deserve. And so the fairest thing I can do for you is to give you a couple of numbers of other cleaning companies that have a different set of parameters that they work from, and they have different training, and they've got more people and all that stuff, and they can help you on a level that will really serve you best. And so for this particular project, if it's out of your scope, you're gonna have to back out. If it is in your scope and it's something you can do, you have to create boundaries. And the boundaries stop at whatever the time is that you got to stop. Don't stay and visit, don't stay and chat, don't run her errands, don't pick up her groceries, don't be doing all the other stuff. If you do decide to do other stuff like change light bulbs and replace vents and all that stuff, air filters, that's a special upsell, it's a special charge, and she has to understand that. Nothing is free and you're a business. She hired you as a business. She didn't hire you as her replacement son to come do stuff for her because she needs the help. Right? We have to get in touch with the real son and have him come help out. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
It's really sticky. I hate situations like this because my heart breaks, and because I want a better life for them, I want to give more. And I have to realize that my family wants the same thing from me. And at the end of the day, I have to go home to my family, and I have to take care of my family, and I have to let her family take care of her. So
it's concerning, especially with when she brought up her granddaughter who was going to come out and help her throw some stuff out. I was surprised that this granddaughter, I don't know when was the last time she was there, but if that was my grandma that was living, and she has like 10 light bulbs in her bathroom, only one is working. If that light bulb goes out, I mean, she can't, the toilet,
it's a trip hazard.
The toilet lid is on top of the sink and you have to wiggle the chain on the back to flush the toilet. It was very sad. And when she brought up her granddaughter, I just thought to myself, that's wow. Well, so she does have some family, so she's not alone. Why aren't they helping her more than and having her live like this? I mean, that was just, it's sad, like you said. And
well, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the hardest things you'll ever do as a business owner is come to the realization that while we want things for a customer to be a certain way, we don't get to rearrange and redesign someone's life for them. That's not our job. We don't get the luxury of doing that. And so when you go to a customer's house, you have to be very clear about what they're paying you to do. And then you have to stop and you have to draw the line. I call it pulling the ripcord. You got to pull the ripcord and get out. Let the parachute open before you hit the ground. Get out. You're not being paid to do it. It's not part of the job that you agreed to. And the reality is we do want better for them. We all do. I can go to any house anywhere at any time and see something, go, oh, I want to clean that. You're probably the same, right? But if that's not part of the scope of the job, then you have to call it quits and say that this is as far as we go today. And I use that phrase a lot. That's it for today. We're done for today. That's it. Time's up. Our payment is, we've reached our payment. We've reached our agreement. And you have to do that with every single customer at every single cleaning. And I do mean that. Do not do deep cleaning on a maintenance clean. Do not do special projects on a deep clean. You got to do what you're being paid to do. You got to train your people to do what you're being paid to do. Follow the checklist and then get out. Because if you break your own rules, you've created expectations that you cannot live up to every single time. And in the event that you're in a crunch one day and you can only do what's on the worksheet, they're going to think that they got jilted somehow because you did what you agreed to. No, 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 no. Only ever do what you agree to, and you don't set yourself up for failure, right? All right, our time is up for today. That's it. But this was really a lot of fun. I had so much fun with you guys. Thanks for joining me. And we'll take our conversations over to our Facebook group.